Let's talk about the difference between critical drivers and KPIs in your strategic plan. But before we get into that, guys, please, as always, hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us to reach more people and to have a greater impact. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's jump into it now. Now, when I look at strategic plans with healthcare clinic owners, one of the things that I tend to see is that the KPI or the outcome they're trying to achieve gets a little bit muddled up or mixed up with what should they be doing each week, each day, each month, etc. And so what we want to understand is what are the critical drivers that drive success towards the KPI or the outcome. And so what we want to be thinking is, what is the thing that we do consistently, or how does that thing change over time? And we hypothesize that if we do this each day for 20 minutes, we do this 3 times a week for 30 minutes, or we do this X amount of times, right? That it's going to achieve the goal that we want at the end of the quarter. And that's where a lot of people fall down, is when we're looking at their critical drivers. Let's say the KPI is to increase referrals by 10 per week by the end of the quarter. And the things that they're doing seem to change day to day, week to week, month to month. And so they're not really building on the compound interest of working on maybe one critical driver and 2 or 3 supporting areas. And so when you're looking at your plan, one thing that it should look like essentially is quite boring and quite repetitive. Because in order to achieve the goal that you want over here, let's say that example of 10 referrals increased, an increase of 10 referrals per week, sorry, is we want to look at it and understand what is the main driver of this for us in our clinic. And you may go, what is our biggest weakness here? And how are we going to double down on fixing that? So you might say that your biggest weakness is you get no referrals online. And so you're going to have a KPI around getting more referrals, 10 per week, and you're going to have a critical driver of what happens online. And we might be looking at Google as our key critical driver, our main critical driver, and then we may have some secondary critical drivers around, say, Facebook ads and organic Google. So we might have paid Google, organic Google down here. That's what it might look like. And then the specific actions are going to sit on the plan day to day, week to week, month to month. And they're going to build on each other over the quarter. And we hypothesize that if we do these things consistently, we're going to achieve this goal. Okay. Now that's an example of working on a weakness, but you might also look at it and go, let's double down on the strength. So you may say that, hey, our strength is we get 80% of our referrals coming through at the moment from support coordinators. So how can we get more referrals from those support coordinators? And how can we build relationships with new support coordinators to hit that 10 referrals per week increase? Okay. And so that you create a plan around that. So you go, what is our primary critical driver, and then what are our secondary critical drivers? And so in that example, the primary critical driver might be the amount of meetings that we have with our current support coordinators, and our second critical driver may be the amount of support coordinators we reach out to, so the amount of new connections we make. And then another secondary one could be the number of meetings we have with those new with those new support coordinators, sorry. And so when you look at it through that lens, there's different ways to do this. But you can attack the weakness, you can double down on the strength. But the key thing here is that a critical driver is something that you do. So when you think about it and when you're looking at your plan, if you've got a critical driver and your critical driver is to increase new clients by 10 referrals per week, that's an outcome. You can't do that. The things that you do that achieve that we went over just before, you can see how they're things that you actually tangibly do and what makes up doing those. Okay. And so we want to make sure we have a delineation between KPIs and outcomes and the critical drivers, and try to make sure you have only one critical driver, main critical driver for each outcome. And then you can have some secondaries under that. And we want to be building day on day, week on week, month on month on what we're doing. So we don't want to be starting new things under each of these every single week or every single month. That is why so many business owners feel burnt out. That's why they feel like they're not progressing, because they're starting so many things, they're finishing nothing, and they're mastering absolutely none of it. All right, my friends, if you have any questions, pop it in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Would love to hear anything else you'd like to hear about planning? This is a common one, a common question we get asked and something we commonly see when we start working with clinics. And put my hand up as well. I've done this many times, many times. I've gotten so distracted with so many balls in the air, trying to start so many things, really finishing nothing and not achieving the goals I wanted. And it's not a great feeling. So I hope you've learned something today. I hope you go back and have a look at your plan and understand how can you tweak it? How can you improve it to hit those outcomes that are meaningful to you, my friend? We'll see you in the next video.